Welcome to Kathryn Raaker's World. Innovation, culture, adventure, fashion and health, artists, destinations, traditions. This is Kathryn Raaker's World.
Hi, this is Kathryn Raaker of Let's Just Talk and Kathryn Raaker's World, our radio and television show. So we have the honor of having again this year Dr. Caroline Prijatel-Sutton, and she is a Psy.D, the Executive Director of Coalition for Family Harmony. Dr. Sutton will be shedding light on the Coalition for Family Harmony's mission and the critical need for continuous funding. The coalition has steadfastly supporting victims of family violence for over 4 decades, offering various services aimed at helping them break free from the abusive situations. Actually, this is the month of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Am I correct?
You are correct. Yes, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Now, you do many things. Welcome to our show. And you do many things, Caroline, to actually help people that have, and almost so many people have abusive relationships. It's unreal today. And so what does your organization actually do so that audience that has never seen you before or never heard you before, can you tell us about your organization first of all?
Yes, we are a nonprofit organization located in the county of Ventura in California, and we provide full services to survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. And full services means that we help and support the survivor from the moment of the crisis all the way through the healing. So that includes 30-day shelter. That includes transitional housing, if that's something that they are interested in to remain safe and have a stipend to be able to pay for their rent so they can focus on healing and safety and work and their children. We also offer full service counseling services. That includes individual, family, and group. And we also offer restraining orders. So we will help someone go through the process of obtaining a restraining order, restraining that, getting that protective order so that they know that they are safe and they can go on with their lives.
Let me ask this question because there are not just women that are in abusive situations, but there are men that are in abusive situations. Do you help both?
Yes, we help anybody. So anybody that walks through our doors and they are survivors of domestic violence, we will help them. We shelter men and women. We have a great LGBTQ+ program that also focuses on intimate partner violence as well. So our goal is really to reach out to every part of our county and say, where are the gaps? Where are the services that are missing, and how can we fill those?
Has it been hard this year because when you have a nonprofit, a lot of times what happens is the funds aren't coming in rapidly. Are you having fun? I used to run 3 nonprofits, so I know personally had to go out and get the money.
Yes.
I know that's maybe a weird question, but you know, it's very important to fund an organization like yourself. Am I correct?
It is so important. If we don't have funding, then we don't have those consistent services. And that's a big part of being a nonprofit, is making sure that what we offer the community today, we can offer to them again in a year. So we have definitely had some struggles with funding. We learned this past year that VOCA, which is the Victims of Crime Act, and it is a funding stream that has been funding domestic violence shelters and services for decades, that has been cut by 46%. Wow. So It's a huge cut for us. We're looking at next year of being having that lower number, which really impacts our ability to operate as a crisis agency in that 24/7 capacity and offer all of these
Sure.
vital services that we're offering. And when we offer these services, we are also taking that pressure off of healthcare and law enforcement because we are helping that person to heal. So we really hope that our community sees that impact and sees how nonprofits that work with survivors of crime are impacted by this.
And the children may be abused as well in that relationship. Am I correct?
Yes, you are correct. Children, there is a higher percentage of abuse in a home with domestic violence.
Right.
And also there's a higher percentage of mortality when there is a weapon in the home with domestic violence.
Right.
So we take those funds away, we're taking away our ability to help those folks in need.
How many people how many families right now can you help or help this year in Ventura County?
So currently in our shelter for between July and now actually we've had 16 people in our shelter, and that includes families as well, and they're staying there for about 30 days. And we help usually over around 6,000 people a year.
Wow.
So it's a lot, and we have about 2,500 bed nights in our shelter a year. So that's the amount of time that someone stays in our shelter. So we really try to reach out to the community and say, we're here, please use us.
You know, a lot of people right now are having terrible problems with um, buying groceries and buying all kinds of different things. Can that lead up to violence?
Well, there are a lot of things that can trigger violence.
Finances,
Yeah.
not having a
Yes.
job, different things
Stress.
are happening.
Stress in any capacity can definitely trigger violent episodes, especially if someone already has a disposition to be violent. Then a stress or a triggering event might occur that domestic violence could happen. Yes.
And that's so important. I can share this with you. I used to work for the children's home, which was abused and neglected children. So
Wow.
I could see it every day. We could only know so much because so many things are in the privacy sector, so you couldn't know. So it was sad to see these children, what they've gone through, and the parents. I mean, I can imagine what it would be like to have an abusive parent that did so many terrible things to the children or the wife or the opposite. So that is so important to help heal these people, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And having a team around you that cares about not only what is happening in the moment, but your well-being well into the future. We call that a holistic approach is having that team around you is so important.
So you actually have an area, you actually funded more people this year than last year when I talked to you.
Yes.
And 1,000 more. Do you say that the domestic violence in that area is higher in the state as an average? Is Ventura County higher in domestic abuse? And is there a reason why?
Ventura tends to rank higher than most other counties in California per capita. And, we haven't really found a reason why. We don't know if it's because more are being reported. We don't know if it's a higher per capita, but Ventura County has always ranked very high. And, this past year, we really did a big plug for making sure that there were laws passed so that if someone had weapons in the home, they could get a particular restraining order that would remove that weapon if there's domestic violence in the home. So we did a big plug for that in Ventura County as well.
And a weapon could be a major knife, it could be a gun, it
Mhm.
could be anything that could cause that other person to be attacked
Yes.
and or killed.
Yes.
And you also talked about restraining orders. A lot of times what happens is this true in Ventura County or around the country, that that person or a judge, unfortunately, or someone in power decides that it's really not that bad and lets that person go and it happens again. So tell me how you work with that.
We have a lot of advocacy that happens here to make sure that when somebody goes to court, they have everything they need around them to make sure that the outcome is favorable. But it oftentimes it isn't, and we know that. So our response to that is to make sure that person is safe, that their restraining order is a long-term restraining order, that they are in touch with the courts to make sure that the abuser does not come near them, that they are warned if they are released from prison. So there are a lot of things that we do to make sure that that person is safe. But advocating as well is important, so that the courts know, so that attorneys know that somebody can be extremely violent, and we wouldn't want them to repeat what has happened. And also it can become worse the second, third, fourth time.
Right. So we need to take a real short break and we'll be right back with Dr. Caroline Prijatel-Sutton, and she's the Executive Director of Coalition for Family Harmony. We'll be right back. We are back with Dr. Caroline Prijatel-Sutton, the Executive Director of Coalition for Family Harmony. And, as we started out the show, we talked about, this month in October is Domestic Violence Month. And can you tell me some of the activities that you're putting on for the public and for the people that are going through it?
Sure, absolutely. So our team will be out in the community. They'll be at colleges and schools. Those are great places to be able to talk to families,
Mhm.
talk to teenagers, talk to college students about teen dating violence, about dating violence, and go out and talk about our services as well and what's available to them. So we have a number of fairs and showcases at our local college level and elementary and high schools. We will also be doing some large social media campaigns. And every October, we go to our board of supervisors to declare it as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And we really encourage everyone to wear purple,
Oh,
because
okay.
purple is the color of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and it shows that you are supporting the cause and supporting those who might be in a domestic violence situation.
Right. Do you have billboards up? Are you allowed to have billboards up across the state for this?
We don't have billboards, no. But we are on social media and we are in the local papers talking about what we're doing. So we hope the word is out there.
Well, we're going to put it out there for you. Don't worry.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's so important to get this message out. So what's happening in the state of California?
So in the state of California, interestingly enough, there was a study done called The Cost of Intimate Partner Violence in California. And it was done by Tulane University. And it really looked at the impact of domestic violence in California. The rates are higher. Of course, we know California is a larger state as well. But 1 in 30 women experience domestic violence. That's over 460,000 in the state of California that experience domestic violence in their lifetime. And we talk about that in numbers of people, but it's also important to talk about it in dollars, because that is a loss of about $73 billion
Wow.
in productivity, in healthcare loss, in social services. So domestic violence is not only truly hurting the individual and the family and the community, but it really hurts financially as well.
Wow. And it's important to understand. I'm glad you're doing the things in high schools and colleges, because you could be dating somebody in high school or college that is violent on a date or something happens, like rape or whatever, and you're frightened to do anything about it. Do you take care of those individuals as well?
Yes, we do. We really feel that an educational and prevention stance is really important because then we're hopefully preventing it from happening in the future. But the best way to do that is start young and start talking about not only dating relationships, but peer relationships, online relationships. How do you talk to somebody online? How do you not talk to somebody online? How do you hold your boundaries? So that when they're growing up, they understand what is safe and what is not.
Mhm.
And a lot of times we see that there's this generational type of violence where the youth are seeing it happen in their home and they're watching violence happen, whether it's emotional or physical or financial abuse. And then they realize that that's the way that relationships work uh,
Right.
incorrectly. And they then do and repeat that in their own social sphere. So we want to make sure that teens are aware of what a healthy relationship looks like, what an unhealthy relationship looks like, what are those red flags that they should be looking for, and that it's okay to hold your own boundary.
Now, you do counsel kids, especially if they're in high school, because it seems like, even in grade school, actually, um, that sometimes, and I'm not using that boys don't do it, but a lot of girls on social media can get very mean and can hurt someone terribly. What does that counseling look like for the person that's being abused that way? And that's a lot. There's so many kids that have taken their own lives because they couldn't handle the social pressure of what kids do to each other.
Mhm.
And they're violent. And I can't, we've let this violence go on in our country, which I hope they clean up, because to be very honest about it, I worry so much about children and teenagers that go through this. And
Yeah.
if they have it at home, they think it's acceptable. And so that child, and I may be wrong here, may be one of the perpetrators to other children. Am I correct or not?
Yes, that can happen. Yes, it's very worrisome. I think when we speak with children, youth, teens about social media and how you communicate with someone on social media, it's really important for social media users, youth and adults, to understand that having a platform like that can change the way in which you talk about somebody and talk to somebody. You have a computer between you and that person. It's very different than talking to them face to face. So when we speak with someone who has been affected by somebody else, online bullying or comments, we want to tell them, this is a place where somebody who may be insecure in their life felt empowered to talk this way to you because they didn't have to do it face to face. And they had this platform for them to do so, but it's not real life. And we really have to make sure that when we talk to the youth and we are in therapy with them, that we're talking to them about their own strengths, that we're talking to them about who they are as a person, and all the wonderful things that they're doing, and really try to separate that from this social media atmosphere that is going on.
Especially when they're freshmen or sophomores in high school and they're going into a new school, and maybe some of their friends decide, well, we're going to drop that girl. We don't want her in our whatever. And that person that they drop could be very upset from what
Yes.
has happened. And how do children combat that?
It's hard. It's very difficult for them. And I think that sometimes the best way is to take a break from the social media, to take yourself out of that particular social sphere on social media. And we tell adults to do that as well. Take a break. Don't go on there. Because it really does give people an empowerment that maybe they wouldn't have had before to be a bully.
Right.
So take themselves out of that situation. Don't put yourself there to interact and then have to go through this crisis moment. Take yourself out of it. Give yourself a break.
Right. And try to make some new friends if you can, right?
Right,
And
right.
if these girls or boys act weird to you and they don't want to even sit with you, because I remember this from high school, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they did it back then without social media, right?
Yes, yeah.
And I felt, because I wasn't part of the clique, which is still cliques out there, right? I just went into new things. I went into drama, theater, anything I could do to be different, to be
Yes.
whatever. And that really helped me in today's world. So what are your plans for the future for next year, and hopefully getting more funding, right?
Mhm. Yes.
And do you know what, Carolyn, I'm going to do? I'm going to put you up on my website
Oh, thank you.
as an expert, if you don't mind.
I
It's
don't mind.
free. And I need your bio.
Okay,
And I have nonprofits up there that I really believe in and care about, and I would like to do that for you.
great.
By the way, most of my family lives in California, so you
Oh, okay.
can make a difference. Right. So anyhow, I think that the more you educate parents and grandparents and children and counsel them that you don't have to live like this.
No,
Absolutely do not have to live like this. You can live a different life. And I have to tell you a real fast story. I used to live overseas, and I had a friend that was in that kind of an abusive situation. She took her children, she took garbage bags, and she went to a safe place, and she got away from that abusive marriage,
good,
and it
good,
saved her children.
good.
And I think it can happen here in the States. It can happen anywhere. And don't be afraid. They have you. They have other people that they can reach out and touch. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Don't be afraid. It is hard to leave. We know that. It can take several times for someone to leave.
Mhm.
But we want people to feel empowered to know that there are hotlines out there for you. Wherever you live, there's an organization that is going to be there for you.
And I think that's the most important thing. And my friends weren't afraid to do that. Thank God. They called and said, can you help us? And of course I said yes, because I was in a very, very strong marriage. And I think that makes a major difference to
Yeah.
people, that you're there to help them too.
Yeah,
And maybe even have them come and stay with you for a little while, whatever it takes to make it work, because you don't want them to be harmed. Am I correct?
No, no, you do not want them to be harmed. You want them to be safe. And them knowing that you are there is sometimes all it takes.
So where can people find more information about your organization and also about the activities that are happening in October?
We have a Facebook account, Coalition for Family Harmony.
What was that again?
Coalition for Family Harmony is our Facebook.
Coalition for Family Harmony.
Mhm. And then our Instagram is at Family Harmony.
At Family Harmony.
Mhm.
Okay, you know what? Anytime you have any big event or something, call me,
Okay.
or call the gal that you come through and that books you.
Yep.
And I would really like to do that for you. So if you send me your logo and your bio, I'll put you up there in the next week. How about that?
Wonderful. That sounds terrific. Thank you so much.
And I need a
will let
picture.
you know.
I need a picture
Okay.
of you too.
I have a headshot.
Good.
So I will send that to you, and then we do have a Denim Day event coming up, but that's in April. So we'll contact you.
Let us know about that, because
Okay.
anything that I can do to do that for you. Now, are you traveling the state, or is it just in Ventura County that you're doing?
Just Ventura County that we.
Just Ventura County.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So thank you so much. You're such a joy to have on my show.
Thank you.
And give your website out again where people can find you.
www.thecoalition.org.
Thecoalition.org. I've got it. And thank you so much. And don't forget to
Thank
go to
you.
our website at KathrynRaakersWorld.com or Let'sJustTalk.com. And we're putting you on nationally on yournews.com. So thank you so much.
Thank you for
It's
having
such
me.
a pleasure. Have a wonderful, wonderful October where you can really, really get that message out more and more. And we'll try to get it out there for you too.
Okay, thank you so much, Kathryn.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.